Hey guys, my name's Nick Reese, and today we're going to be talking about SEO for developers. I've titled this talk the 80-20 of getting results, keeping your stakeholders happy, and avoiding shooting yourself in the foot. In this, I'm going to share a little bit about my background, my experiences in growing SEO assets, who I am, and Luke Edwards is going to take over the second half of this presentation. And hopefully there's not too much background noise. I just moved to Andorra, a little country in Europe. Please don't Google it right now if you don't know where it's at. Or you can if you want. But it's a little country between Spain and France. And there's a bunch of road construction going on outside my apartment. So hopefully this audio is good. If not, I apologize in advance. All right, let's jump into it. First, my name is Nick Reese. I'm a startup guy and an SEO at heart. For the past 15 years, I've been building performance marketing websites, commonly also known as affiliate marketing, but I feel like that gets a pretty bad rap. Essentially, my main business model has been taking huge data sets from the US government and other sources and making them useful for users. Prior to now, I worked on broadbandnow.com, businessinternet.com, and a whole bunch of other sites that unfortunately I have NDAs and can't talk about. I've often joked that SEO has paid the bills since I've had bills to pay, meaning that basically since I was in college, SEO has paid my bills, and I've never really done anything else besides SEO and everything that kind of goes under that umbrella. Over the years, I've taught myself JavaScript, but I'm really a marketing guy at heart, and all the lessons I've learned over the years have been from building SEO websites. I think now I'm well over 30 major SEO sites under my belt, and so I've seen a lot of things. I haven't seen everything, and every SEO tends to have their own opinions on what's good and bad, and I wear my own tinfoil hat. But in this talk, my goal is to share a little bit about my lessons in scaling my own network of SEO sites using a framework I built for Svelte. So a little bit about that framework. Elder.js is a static site generator / server-side rendering framework for Svelte. It was designed with large content sites in mind. It ships with partial hydration and 0 kilobytes of JavaScript if it's not needed. Has a very clean data flow that's super modular. So if you have huge data sets, like we're talking billions of rows on my 2 public projects, or billions of data points, hundreds of millions of rows, it works really well. Insanely fast build times. The use of SSR is, you can definitely upgrade directly to that should your site outgrow static site generation. And most importantly, it's been built with 0 SEO compromises in mind. Essentially, in 2018 timeframe, I ended up building porting a quite major site over to Gatsby from WordPress, and it was just full of SEO issues that kept getting pushed to the core of Gatsby that really made it hard to troubleshoot. Those included issues with the default service worker and issues with the canonical tags changing the way that they suggested it in a small patch update. So Elder.js will never really cause those issues for you. That's our goal, is that if none of these things should break and cause you SEO headaches. And since this is Svelte Summit, I want to go ahead and plug Elder.js for who it's right for and who it's not right for. First, if you're building an app, I would suggest you look at some of the other tools out there, such as SvelteKit. Elder.js really isn't designed for tons and tons of interactivity that goes on with common apps. But my standard advice is, if you're going to build an app, you're probably going to find a lot more tutorials on how to build an app with SvelteKit or Sapper than you will with Elder.js. So I kind of point users in that direction. It's also great for you if only islands or parts of each of your pages are interactive. And if you have a content-heavy site that changes infrequently, because content-heavy sites that change infrequently are perfect for static sites generators. We definitely use Elder.js in a server-side rendering fashion, so it is totally capable, and I actually love it. But it's not for everyone. It's very opinionated to solve the specific issues that I encounter when I'm building my sites. First and foremost, this tool was designed to build major SEO sites. So if you're building a small 10-page site, you might be better served by some different frameworks. But if you're building a a 5,000 page site or more, or even a 1,000 page site, and you're tired of really slow build times, Elder.js is also right for you. Could be right for you. Now, normally what I say when I talk about SEO is, because I like to be, I'm going to make a little joke here. It's a dad joke. I have kids, so I'm allowed to do this now. Essentially, I always say that in affiliate marketing, being vague is about as good as that other thing, because that's pretty vague. Now, for SEO, I always say it's do cool shit and tell people about it. And that's what I tell at marketing conferences. And I have a whole talk on do cool shit and tell people about it. And how that kind of dovetails into outreach and how that can really be your core SEO strategy. But since this is a developer conference, let's talk like nitty gritty. Let's talk what actually matters. And in sitting down to write this talk, there's three things that really stand out to me, and the thing that I tell my dev team all the time. First, let's not neglect our on-page signals. This means let's make sure the title tag is good, the H1's good, and the meta description is good. By good is relative, but every single page on your site, and this isn't really a development tip, but every single page on your site should have a purpose for existing. It should have a specific keyword it's trying to rank for, and it should support your overall business objective. So for us, sites, every single page on our site either is designed to get links, it's designed to make money, or it's designed to support the overall strategy. Now, those are really the three core strategies or types of pages that we have. And the title tag, H1, and meta description should support whatever the strategy is for that individual page. Second, from a developer perspective, have a system to surface common but hard to detect mistakes. Like a good example of this one that will actually absolutely crush you is if, let's say, your canonical tags are messed up. I've seen it happen multiple times. Canonical tag basically tells Google, hey, this page, the place you will always be able to find it is here. Well, what happens if a user enters your page with a query string, the thing that comes after the question mark in the URL? Google uses the canonical tag to say, don't show the URL that has a question mark. Instead, just show this URL. Well, if you mess that up, you can have some pretty major issues. There's some other things that are in here, but another one that's really common and often hard to detect if you don't have a system for it is when data is missing, especially with JavaScript frameworks. So you'll end up with undefined or nulls in your title tag, meta description, or really anywhere on your page. The third thing for developers is make sure it's easy for bots to crawl and understand your site. Now, the biggest part of this comes down to properly managing your internal linking structure, which I can give a whole talk on. Like I've done consulting where all I do is talk about that for 8 hours. So we're not going to talk about it in detail today, but in short, watch for orphaned pages, which is incredibly easy to do with a statically generated site. An orphaned page is a page that has no incoming links from anywhere else on your site. And the other good rule to think about is your highest priority pages should get more links across your site. And another thing here is that's common with Svelte that I talk to our dev team about is make sure you're always shipping all of the HTML you want indexed when you ship the page. In other words, when the server or the CDN responds with your HTML, make sure all the HTML you want indexed is there. And in server-side rendering context, it's very easy to end up with a Svelte if statement that hides content. So we generally have a rule that instead of using if statements to hide content, we use variables that add a display none property to things, and that way at least the content is in the HTML. You can get a little bit more advanced, but I can talk about those another time if people are curious. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the lessons that I've learned from scaling SEO properties with Elder.js. Right now I have quite a few major SEO properties running on Elder.js. Some are in cooking mode that are basically sitting there growing in traffic, and others are like the main focus. But essentially, the thing I've learned over the years, whether it's on the properties I'm learning on right now or not, is that you need a way to surface common SEO problems automatically to your team. In Broadband nowadays, we had a full-time SEO, and all he did was audit the site after every single build. Looking back at that, we long-term, we automated it using Screaming Frog, which is an SEO crawling software. But we still had to manually parse those logs, and we wrote some scripts to pull out common issues. Now I'm fully of the mind that common SEO issues should be surfaced in the CI/CD pipeline. So every time you're building, essentially, if there's an SEO issue, the build should not go live. That's my belief now. And from that, a tool has evolved, and Elder.js has quite a few different capabilities, but one of which I didn't even talk about on the Elder.js slide is hooks and plugins. And so I developed a plugin from our internal tool that checks over 50 common SEO issues, and it lives perfectly in your CI/CD pipeline. This is extracted from our internal larger tool that does a whole lot more things. But many different users have told me that it's like a core reason why they like SEO, and it's made it a lot easier for them as developers to have confidence in their work. So in releasing that, there was a lot of people that wanted to customize their rules, and I ended up, I've become quite good friends with Luke Edwards, who's pretty active in the Svelte community. He works for Cloudflare on the workers, and you've probably seen him, but you're going to hear from him in just a minute. We started talking about, it's really a shame that this is only kind of exclusive to Elder.js, and I wonder if there's a way that we could make this more framework agnostic. Anyone that's using a static site generator, they should have a tool that allows them to keep themselves from shooting themselves in the foot. And so Luke has dove in, and we've worked together for several months to create a tool. And so now you're going to get to hear from Luke, and he'll show you the tool and how it works.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Luke Edwards. As Nick mentioned, he and I have been working together for a little bit on some SEO stuff. In typical Nick fashion, he breezed over his existing work here, but the SEO space has had a lot of progress, and that's completely Nick's fault. Many of us may be familiar with the SEO check plugin for Elder.js. It does a bunch of stuff, like 100 different rules. Very Elder specific in how it's actually implemented. But the core of it is Nick's other package called SEO Lint with a hyphen. It does all the same stuff, but from SEO Lint, we created SEO Lint without a hyphen. So thanks again, Nick. Made it super easy. Definitely helped out the ecosystem. Cool. So how does it work? Well, let me show real quick. There is some help text, and it takes some inputs and some options. Great. Well, with those inputs, it can be a directory, it could be a file, it could be directories and a file, it could be a single URL or multiple of them. You can pipe a curl into it directly, or you can do some more complex finding patterns. Let's start with some bad examples. Mine. So SEO Lint on HTTPS, lukey.com. I have issues. Importantly, I have a red X there. That means on my system, that means that is an exit code of 1. So what does that mean? That means SEO Lint out of the box is really great for CI/CD systems. As Nick mentioned, and this was advice given to me a while back, really thankful for it. If there are problems in your build system, do not deploy, especially if there were not problems there to begin with. You do not want to launch SEO problems into the world. That's what happened here on my site. So what's happening here is the rule called canonical href match does not actually match the host name. Well, host name is lukey.com, and my canonical tag is pointing to www.lukey.com, and now I'm stuck with it for having made it a long time ago. Either way, stuck with it. And because I'm stuck with it, I can actually go in and turn off this rule. So SEO Lint, sounds a lot like ESLint, right? And so we have a config file system that operates a lot like ESLint. So we have rules right now, and I'm just going to quickly turn off this rule and rerun the check. What's happening here, by the way, is SEO Lint is like fetching this URL in the background and only this URL in the background, parses it as HTML, traverses it, applies all of the default configuration rules, sees if there are any issues. If there are, it reports them. Otherwise, there aren't. Celebrates you. Looks great. Ta-da. No red X anymore. Cool. So this would be exit code 0. CI/CD would continue as normal because there is not a problem. If we look at some other sites, of course, we have Nick's properties. They're perfect as you expect. Elderguy.com, so this is multiple sites. It's not the entire site yet. It's one URL at a time. You can use other systems to pipe that stuff in there. But HTTPS, my site once again with the rule turned back on, and only my site is failing because of that same canonical tag issue. Bummer. Anyway, if we look back at the help text, we can also see it run on directories. Directories are recursive with SEO lint, which is really helpful, so you don't have to pipe a bunch of stuff individually. So for that, we have an example here. It is the Svelte kit starter template. The only thing I've done to this here is attach the static adapter. So if I run this, serve, there we go, on port 5000, refresh, it's our favorite starter app. Cool. So now, if I run SEO lint on that same directory, examples, build, it does everything. This is just saying like, hey, we don't know what the host name is. The formatting will change by the time this tool goes out. But in any event, this site gets built during CI/CD, whatever. Run this as a post-build hook on top of that on top of that build output directory, and you will block yourself from deploying. Again, fix these things or turn them off, whatever you want. It's just a real quick and easy way to make sure your site's in good health. So that's a directory. We can run it on a specific file. So the build index.html file only runs that. We can do a subdirectory. There's the about page or the about index file. So each of these are specific things. It runs the same way. It's just like how much recursiveness do you want? That's really what it comes down to. Other cool things. There's a programmatic API. So you can run the FS for file system or the URL stuff directly. You can use run and lint commands, and both of those will give you reports, and a report will map the failing source, whether it's a URL or a file, and the messages that error out. And those are the exact same things that we use here to display these errors. So you don't lose anything by using the CLI. Pretty cool. Last thing we should show is the config file stuff. So again, like ESLint, there's presets and plugins. So presets, I don't have any actually installed here, but presets are a way for you to have like your company specific rules, or your team specific, or your personal, whoever, doesn't matter. And then we have plugins, and this can be plugin.foo and plugin.bar. So like ESLint, presets go first. They apply first. Plugins override presets. So presets can be made of other plugins, other presets, and like individual rules. Then plugins apply, and then your rules within your project have the final say. So example here, if let's say this SEO lint preset thing was setting this to true or keeping it to true. By setting it to false here, like I've guaranteed that there's just not going to have, the Lukey.com example will not have issues, and then vice versa, right? Like, so let's say the shared preset wants it to be off. I can override it here and make sure that it is in fact on. That's about it. It's customizable. You can run it programmatically. You can run it as a post-build hook. It's very fast, very lightweight. Should work with anything you're using, even if it's not SvelteKit or even if it's, server-side rendered. Nick and I are interested in collecting more feedback while this is in early phase of development. So there should be a Google form link on the screen, but we are interested to hear how you guys would like to use this. What other rules would you like us to apply by default? It's just an easier way to start collecting feedback while this is in development. But of course, the GitHub repo will be active, will be open, but we want to hear how you and your teams may use this. But that's it. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. Enjoy the rest of the summit. Bye.